Okay. Are we live? Is this working? All right. Um, okay. Yes. It looks like everything is working, and we are streaming on YouTube right now, and I'm on the Zoom call. Okay, which means hello, welcome everyone. So we are having our first ParametricCamp community meetup, which for those of you who might be new, we're going to jump on a Zoom call and we're just going to spend 1 hour just chatting and talking about who we are, what we do, what our interest is. So I am on a Zoom call right now with members from the ParametricCamp community, and I have a lot of people in the waiting room, so I'm just going to accept them to the waiting room right now. So there you go. Join in. There you go. Hello. Hello, hello. Can I hear you?
Yes.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yes. And I believe we are, yes, we're on YouTube. Everything is being forwarded. All righty. Great. This is great. So and everything is working fine on the YouTube end. Okay, so I would like, well, first of all, welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you. So what we will be doing is, some time ago, we thought it would be a good idea to, to just jump on a call and to just chat and get to know each other instead of me always giving like um, just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second here. Mhm. Um, yes, so we thought it would be a good idea to just jump on a call and get to know each other and chit chat about computational design and all the things we're interested in. So we're doing that right now, and I see there's a lot of people in the call already. So I would like to invite everyone who feels comfortable just turning on the webcam, because since we're here to meet to get to know each other a little bit, so that would be nice. However, I also want to make sure that everyone understands that we are streaming this live to YouTube right now. So if you go to the Parametric Camp YouTube, you will see your faces there right now. So I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with that. And if not, you're welcome to just not turn your camera on. Whatever makes you feel better. Okay. And and I don't have a plan for this. There's no agenda. Because I just thought it would be nice. We've spent a whole year doing live streams, tutorials, chatting on Discord, chatting on YouTube, whatever. So I was wondering, like, well, maybe we can just jump on a call and chat with each other, like human beings in these remote times. I I'm lucky enough to know already from the chats and from Discord, etc., a lot of people that I see on this call. I want to welcome Nono, who's a long-term friend, and you probably know him. Yes,
So people are asking for the link on the chat. Should I paste it? Is that okay?
on which chat?
On YouTube.
Oh, but I thought I posted it before. Yes. So yeah, you can post it. I have to do it. I don't think you can post links. I think I'm the only one with permission to do that, I believe. But yes, I just posted it again. And as I was saying, I have no agenda. I just want to welcome people and say hi. I want to welcome Nono. I know him from a long time, and you probably know him from a lot of things that we've done together, machine learning wise, design wise, and architecture wise. I want to welcome a lot of familiar faces: Professor Chandra, Victor, Dusko, Salvador, Said, people that I know from the their online presence, but I haven't had the chance to meet yet. So this is a really good chance. And I want to Arasto, you have something weird with. I think you have your camera on, but I can't really see you. I don't think anyone can see you.
So, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, so let's turn off my camera again. I'll turn it on.
It's fine. Whatever. Even if you don't want
My
to.
camera is on, so can you see me now?
No,
Let me
I can
try
see you
it.
now. I do see you now. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes. All right. So welcome everyone. Oh, can I say something? Can you guys see this? I'm in Malaga right now. I'm in Spain, and I was hanging out with. He's right here, no, on my left-hand side, but on YouTube, you're right here, I think. And he just gave me this T-shirt as a Christmas present. How cool is that, huh? Right?
Awesome.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. I don't have an agenda, so if anybody wants to jump in, I would like, if possible, that whoever jumps in and wants to talk or ask a question or start some kind of conversation, if you can introduce yourself briefly, your name, where you're calling in from, a little bit of your background, so that we can get to know each other, that would be great. And I think just because I know him a little better and we've had a lot of conversations offline, may I nominate Arasto to perhaps kick off the conversation?
Okay, great. So, yep, my name is Arastu, and I'm from Iran. In 3 days, I'm flying to Japan. So I'm a master's student at Keio University in Japan. So yeah, my flight is like 3 days from now. So
Nice.
other than that,
That
I do video editings in ParametricCamp with Jose, and I'm really interested in robotics. And other than that, one thing that I really wanted to say was to actually thank Jose so much for sharing his not only computational streams, but also the playlist for the Introduction to Computational Design class from Harvard on YouTube. So after uh, studying the whole course on YouTube, I feel like I'm ruling Grasshopper right now. So thank you so much.
well, thanks to you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for watching those things. I'm honestly not sure that I would watch all those videos myself because it's a lot. So I really appreciate
Yeah.
that who takes the time take the time to watch all those videos. I know they can be really dense. Um, but yeah, and I also want to thank you personally. Arasta's been helping me a lot with the video editing, video cutting, and video production in the YouTube channel, which is really helpful.
Well,
It takes
it's
a
been a
lot of time
pleasure.
off of my plate, and it lets me concentrate in producing more content. So it's great.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
I just
I
joined
really enjoyed it.
I just joined the call, but from what I could hear from what Aristo was saying, I just wanted to say the exact same things. Thank you so much, Jose. Your generosity in sharing your knowledge and sharing your classes. It's been great. I've learned so much. It's changed my life this year. I don't know. I just want to thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Rafael. You're calling from Brazil, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Fortunately.
What is it that you do? Why do you find this work so interesting?
I'm an architect. I work at an architecture office. It's called Triptych Architecture.
Mm-hmm.
It's a French Brazilian office, so we have an office in Paris too. And I use Grasshopper as as one of my tools in architectural design, and that's how I got how I was introduced to computational thinking, computational design. And now
Awesome.
I'm trying to now I'm applying, as just mentioned to Nono the other day, I'm applying for a master's in AI here at the University of São Paulo. I also have to thank the two of you for that. It was really I was interested in AI, sort of like something separate from architecture, and after this year and the events that you hosted, and I believe so many of us attended here, I can kind of really see just how these things can bridge, and AI and architecture can mesh, and both together. And I think that's really interesting for the near future.
That's awesome, and
Yeah,
I'm really happy
very
to
excited.
I'm really happy to hear that you believe in something and then you are actually taking action towards
Yeah,
getting better and working towards that, you know.
thank you
Um,
so much.
I hear a lot of people like, yeah, I want to get into AI, machine learning, you know, whatever, but okay, but now you know that takes a lot of work and studying,
Yeah,
etc. It's not an easy thing. It's getting easier, thanks to the work of so many people who are trying to get all the complexities that are behind machine learning, artificial intelligence, and they are trying to make it more accessible. So it's getting a little better, but still, it still requires effort and knowledge. But I think Nono can speak a little bit more of that process of making all these tools more accessible. He's he's been working firsthand, and he's doing it himself a lot to make this possible.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of AI, it resonates a lot with what I have experienced. Is really hard. I think it's really easy to get started, but then you realize how many things in machine learning there are that you don't really know anything about. And I don't know if Jose Luis probably does this himself for the same reason. I try to just go in and test stuff. Like I work at really like just writing code and playing with things, and that's been really useful. Just jumping into the computer and testing things. But yeah, it takes time, I would say. Like I don't think anyone just says like, oh, I'm really good at this. I'm just gonna get. And what's important to know is like right now there's almost no one knows anything about it. Like just a few people who are like immersed for the last 3 years are experts. So it's a really good opportunity to get into it.
And it's such a new field as well.
Uh,
Like,
may I interrupt you for a second? I'm just noticing right now that I have been posting links on the YouTube chat to this call, but they're not showing up. None of you can see any link from me on the YouTube,
No,
correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it looks like for some reason YouTube is just capping that.
Can
I
you
want,
add it to the YouTube description, to the YouTube video description maybe?
that is a very good idea. No, thanks. Um, yep, some link here. All right. Okay, so I just edited the description of the YouTube live stream. So if anyone is listening right now from YouTube, if you refresh your YouTube live stream, in the description, you should probably see this a link to the Zoom call that we are in just like in a it's a bit.ly link. But sorry I interrupted you. And also,
One thing,
want to make sure that we
Jose,
all, I want to make sure that we all remember that I really encourage you to turn on your webcam and participate and have a face. This is why we're here, to be a little bit of human. But I also want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable knowing that we are broadcasting this live on YouTube. So your face will end up for the posterity on YouTube on this call. All right. So only do that
forever.
if you feel comfortable with that.
Jose, one thing about the links that you post, the bit.ly links, the short links, if you would be writing, if you would be typing and inside a browser, the B should be capitalized. So I've tried that. So if you're going to copy it anywhere else that people are going to be typing it inside their browsers, so just make sure that the B is capitalized for the bit.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm testing the click. I'm testing the link right now on YouTube, and it looks like it works. So yeah. So anyone who's listening on YouTube, just refresh your window, and the description of this video should have the link. Thank you.
And I would personally, sorry if I interrupt, but I would encourage, I see that people are coming and going from the meeting. If there's anyone who doesn't feel comfortable maybe talking, maybe you can also just direct the questions to the chat, or just say whatever you feel comfortable saying there.
Absolutely. Yes. Um, I want to also nominate Baba, who I just saw on the call. And hi, Baba. Good to see you. Baba's been helping and contributing like a lot to the Grasshopper Sharp project that we have been working on a lot in the past month, just as Victor, who's also on the call, but who's also on the call. So I want to thank both of you very heartily. Your contribution is really, really well appreciated. And as soon as we believe that Grasshopper Sharp is at a state where we can have an alpha out there, we're going to throw a massive party here on Parametric Camp as well. Thanks a lot, Baba. All right.
Yeah,
And Baba, please. Yes.
I know. I just want to thank you for the opportunity. It was nice working. It was basically because of the one YouTube tutorial you did. Based on it, it was very interesting. And once we get to actually do it, like code every component, you get to learn more about the components that are already there, which you don't realize normally. Whenever I'm writing, I'm like, okay, that's already there. I never knew about it, and it's nice. It's good. It's giving you a good learning opportunity.
That is true. I've learned a lot myself too from trying to mimic the components. Yeah, it's a really, really good exercise.
Yes.
Wonderful. I also, if I may, can I also give a small shout out to Salvador Calva, who's here? And have you shared your latest project with the community? Can I talk about it? Maybe you can talk about it if you will.
Yes, no, please.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no.
well, thank you.
Please use your own
Hi,
word. Hi.
thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Salvador from Guatemala. Well, yeah, I'm just trying to translate somehow from C Sharp to Python, and but using Jupyter Notebook and Python, normal Python, and GH Python as well. So I don't know if you want to check it out. It's posted in the Python channel, I think. And well, everyone can tell me if it's good or how I can improve that as well. But I have a lot of fun, and I really appreciate all the videos and all the contribution. I don't know, it's really really cool, and I have learned a lot. Uh, by the way, I'm start trying to just using Jupyter Notebook because the one lecture, and I try to from Mariana Popescu from the GSD. I just looked at and I try to make the examples from Compass, and I really need to set up everything with the Anaconda prompt. And yeah, I just then really think that Python is cool. I'm a Pythonist. Just kidding. I'm not.
Well, no
I
one's
also like
perfect.
C
No
Sharp.
one's
Yeah.
perfect, Salvador, but
Oh, but thank you, thank you a lot for your videos and everyone as well, all the Parametric Camp team and everyone. It's pretty cool.
thank you, thank you. I consider all of you part of the Parametric Camp team, just because these small things we all get to find our voice, and we all get to find what is it that we want to do, or what is it that we can contribute. Just like your project, which is great. So thanks a lot for that. Alrighty. Can I call out Andres Obregon? I've had a lot of communications with you. Hi, Andres. How you doing?
Hello, everyone, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. It's very nice this meeting. I see, Jose Luis, that you have a very, very nice teacher.
Thank you.
Well, I am an architect. I am from Colombia. I have been living in Mexico for a couple of years. I teach here in a university. I teach to students of the first years to code with visual programming, and little by little I am trying to push in the textual programming as well. We have been working with mostly with processing, and this semester I start to give some contents with C#. So I am very happy because this semester I have been learning a lot. I did my master in Stuttgart in Germany with the people of ICD, where I were introduced with these topics. But yeah, I'm very glad to see all your faces. I'm very happy to follow all your streamings this semester.
Thank you, Andres. Thank you for your kind words. We're very happy to do it ourselves. Yeah. Where was it that you taught? At the Tecnológico de Monterrey?
I taught here in the Monterrey University.
Mhm.
Them.
Wonderful. That's awesome. All righty. Can I also, I'm going to nominate now Professor Chandra. He's been with us in the community at ParametricCamp from a very, very long time, and he's very active. Chandra, are you there? Would you like to say hi? Would you like to say hi? No, we can't hear you. No, no, there's no sound. Nope. All righty, it's okay. Maybe if you can figure that out at some point. Oh, we can hear you now. We could hear you for a brief second. All right. Well, if does anybody else would like to join in and introduce yourself? I see Mintesinot, I see Ainil, I see Ipsita. Would you like to join the conversation?
Hello, everyone.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Let Anil go ahead, then I'll.
Okay, ladies first.
Hi, my name is Ipsita. I am from Mumbai, and like I'm an architect working here since. Like I was in Barcelona for 2 years. I was in IAC, and with my friend, she's actually in the call. Nusrat, she's here in the call. We had done a 3D printed staircase, a clay additive manufacturing staircase with vase in Italy. So that is how we got a complete hang of CH Sharp with Grasshopper. Before that, we were just doing pure computational design. And from there, our whole interest started. And that's how we got to know about you and your tutorials. And that's how we came into the parametric camp. And like, it's been a great journey. And like, we're learning a lot. Like, we started with a very basic thing in masters over there. But now sitting here in our own countries, we're trying to bring it to another level. So that's where we are. And we were lucky enough to like learning a lot of things. We were lucky enough to actually publish a paper together, both of us, and in a conference, and we got a best paper award depending on the computational design codes that we made in the whole process that we
Computational
did.
design and additive manufacturing together.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome!
So,
Congratulations.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
thank you so much.
Which conference was this?
It was
IREC.
IREC.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
IREC.
IREC. I'm not sure if I know of it.
It was just the third edition of the conference. It's not a very old conference,
Mhm.
but yeah, we are just getting into the research phase of it. So, but looking into your tutorials and everything, we're actually progressing ahead so we can understand how the research works, and the codes are helping us a lot. So yeah.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to hear that you were in Spain and
Yes, we miss Spain a lot, but we had to come back. That's a different story.
I know, I miss it too. I'm in Spain right now, so
We are jealous for sure. We're jealous.
I'm jealous of. I have my best friends from Mumbai, and I was in India like 3 years ago for a wedding, and I really, really wanted to travel more, and I didn't have the opportunity. I don't know Mumbai. I've only been in Bangalore, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, India is a wonderful country, and we have a lot of people in the community from India as well, which is great.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. And how do you think
Yeah.
you're bringing all these things that you learned in your masters?
Mhm.
Do you think you're bringing them back to India, and how are you pursuing them there?
It's a little bit like in a commercial factor of it. It's a little bit tough to put them in firms in India right now. But like a lot of universities and colleges, they've started accepting the fact that how it works, and they are actually asking us to give some kind of a workshop or something so that they can get into it. So now students, like when we were students, we didn't have the access to like Rhino and Grasshopper in that way, how now the students have, and it's because of all these tutorials and because they are realizing how important computational design has become right now in this field. So that's really important. So that's how, so people like us, we are just trying to throw our research knowledge a little bit here and there. Like I follow Bhava also on Instagram, and I'd seen everything what she was doing. So that's also, she's in one corner of the country, I'm in a different corner. So we are doing whatever we can from our point of view, I think. So yeah.
I think I've seen the staircase that you made. Is that the
Yeah,
one
yeah.
with the wooden steps, you know? That was,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to love
yeah.
the project.
Yes,
I
yes.
used to often see it and, you know, get inspired by that project. I didn't know you were the one behind it.
Well, yeah.
It's nice.
So yeah.
So that's great. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, Anil, you can carry on. Sorry.
Hello everyone. I'm coming from Turkey, Ankara. Currently, I am working on my master thesis in Middle East Technical University.
Wait, is that where Professor Ipek?
Yes, İpek Gürsel Dino.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're good friends.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, say hi to him. And I really investigated the grasshopper for maybe 7 or 8 years. But I really thank you to Jose to show us the logic behind the plugin for C scripting. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise, it's a pleasure to meet you too. Thank you. All right. We don't have an agenda. Is there anything that you would like to talk about? Any questions you have? Any conversations you want to throw here into the group?
Maybe we can discuss this later, but since Rhino 7 just was released,
Uh-huh.
I wonder if you have anything cool to say about Sabdis, which is like this crazy extension of NURBS. I don't know. Maybe it's something we could talk about.
Maybe we will talk about the subdivision, the subdies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have nothing to say about that because I have not had the time to take a look at none of it. Like I have Rhino 7, but I haven't even opened yet. Because many of you might know I was really like the final of my introduction to computational design class at Harvard. The final was 2 days ago, and I've been really busy with students, with their homework, helping them with their projects. And we actually had the final review was open. I actually saw some of the people in this call. I saw them on the review, which was great. But I still haven't finished grading them. It's been a disaster. so no, but I'd be really happy to hear your opinion if you have tried it out.
Yeah, I don't know, just a bit.
Right.
About the final projects of your class, the introduction to computational design, they were really interesting. I mean, seriously, I looked at the final presentation from the 2019 and comparing them to 2020, I feel like, considering the issues with this corona thing and the studying online and remotely, there isn't so much a difference between the quality of the projects from last year and this year, and it was really inspiring actually to see all those really nice projects.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that from you because I'm biased and I'm really proud and happy with my students. So I thought they were great, but I also knew that I was not impartial, that I was very subjective. The thing is that this year, honestly, put it this way, what I've realized this year is that yeah, at least in the context of computational design, teaching in person and teaching remotely wasn't really that different, because at the end of the day, there was a lot about lecturing, there was a lot about sharing files, sharing lectures. So despite the fact that maybe we couldn't hang out together in person in class, we still had the same level of interaction. And I was very fortunate to have a team of teaching assistants, teaching fellows, and the whole teaching team was really, really good, and they were really dedicated, so they could put a lot of energy in helping people with their final projects. So in that sense, it was great. It was unfortunate that there were fewer CAD/CAM projects, for example. There were fewer projects that dealt with, I don't know, special 3D printing or different modes of fabrication. But at the same time, there were more projects than usual that dealt with, for example, data visualization, pandemic simulation, even more machine learning projects. So I found that super interesting. Another thing that has been different this year, and I'm very happy about that, was that many of the material that I have made, that I have recorded here at ParametricCamp, some of it I thought it as support material for the class. So it turns out that this year, all the students had not just all the lectures and all the content and the exercises and the workouts, etc., but also they had a lot of videos that I could point them to, like, oh, do you know, you don't know how to do string interpolation? Here's a video. Or do you know, you want to know how to do manual CSV parsing? Here's another video, you know, things that were not there last year. So maybe that has contributed, maybe not. I don't know. The whole learning C# playlist, I think, has been super helpful for them as well. Because a lot of the tutorials, a lot of the workshops that I throw when we're in class is like, okay, let's go to what's important in 1 hour, you know? But sometimes that doesn't really, it doesn't have the right pace for a student to learn. So having the support material, like if you keep watching all these videos, you're going to end up learning C#, you know, and you're going to be able to apply it. And also maybe that's a good relation to a question that Jacob Nass is posting on YouTube, which I can get to in a second. But what I was really happy about is that C# as a language was very interesting because of the properties it has, but it also, once you know it, it makes it really, really easy to switch to other platforms. So it turns out that even though what we teach in class is C# based Grasshopper, mostly, many of the projects ended up being projects that were built with processing or with Unity or with P5.js or other platforms that we only indicated or that we only spent one lecture talking about, but that students took upon learning themselves and writing the projects themselves on those platforms. So I found that super interesting. It also makes me really proud that they wanted to spend the time learning a second language just in one semester. It wasn't, C# wasn't enough. Let's learn a second language, you know, and let's build a whole project on top of that, you know. I think that was great. I think that was really amazing. So I was very happy about that. For people who might be new to what you're talking about, Arasta, to their projects, I just edited the description of this video on YouTube to include a link to the final projects for the computational design class. The website being gsd6338.org. But anyone can now go and check those projects and get a glimpse of the work that we did this year and last year. All the work is published there. Which takes me to a question that Jacob Nass, I'm not going to answer this question. I want to throw it out here in the wild. So Jacob Nass is asking on YouTube, hey, can you please discuss about what is better for computational design, Python or C#?
Actually, it was my question.
No worries, Saeed. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well.
How can I have a t-shirt like that?
You have to convince Nono. Where is Nono? Nono is right here. You have to convince Nono to get you one of these.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, actually, I have the same question. Before I get know you, I'm trying to learn in Python for the artificial intelligence. Excuse me for my accent. I get a French accent in my head sometimes.
No
But after that, I'm just trying to learn C#. And that was my question. I know that you know it. The future of the machine learning will be join the parametric shows in the architecture. Why you try to learning C#? As you know that Python is more powerful, and for the machine learning and artificial intelligence, we need it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have my very personal opinion about that, but I would like to open that question to you, other people in this conversation before. Does anybody have an opinion or want to share their thoughts on that?
I think C is since the C# is a low programming language, you can manipulate everything with the C#. You can use in robotics or in mechanical engineering things, and it gives more functionality. I am on the side of the C# instead of using Python. Python is just like using frameworks or for the artificial intelligence or the machine learning things. Maybe Python is more powerful for this, but it's just playing with the frameworks. I think C# is much more powerful.
Python versus C#. I don't know, but I have a personal opinion right there too, because something that I found really interesting about Python is that the amount of resources that you got for I'm not an expert in machine learning or artificial intelligence, but I found a lot of resources that more guided for Python. So in this case, I think that if you're just like trying to be involved with machine learning or artificial intelligence, you will find a lot of resources more easy writing in Python than in C#. But C# is a really another cool language because I don't know, it's just with geometry or all the computational geometry. I'm not an expert as well. I'm just a beginner, but I mean, like it's really, it's just like it seems like you have a better order to just explain or just to put all the variables in order to have a better, to just develop something. Or I don't know, I just found that I'm not an expert, by the way, but it's just like my humble opinion of both, but I found very interesting both.
Can I invite? No, he's unmuting himself already.
Yeah. So as always, like I'm also not an expert in, I try to keep learning and learning. What I think that happens in that sense is that Python, so the language itself had a bit of luck because it was really common as an entry point for data scientists and people who do data processing and things like that, and also now machine learning. So it seems like to be a language that many people have ease, it seems, to learn from the beginning. It's like not typed and other things. What happens with TensorFlow and libraries that you have to do machine learning, the real execution of the models and training and all that stuff actually is written in C++. So Google and the main libraries are written in C++. So that's what supposedly everyone should be writing also.
Speed of C++, I think.
What do you say? Sorry.
It's because of speed, I think. Because
yeah, so C++ is cross-platform, is more efficient, is more tightly, it runs closer to the chip. It's like lower level execution and better memory management and things like this. So Python in some way was lucky that it's the language where all these things like PyTorch and TensorFlow and Keras and everything is developed first. But what I wanted to say, my point was TensorFlow has now done TensorFlow JS, so like a JavaScript wrap of like everything. It's a port, it's not a wrap. So all the operations you can do more or less, probably not everything, but most of the core of the library, you can do machine learning in JavaScript and in Python. And there is also frameworks you can run natively on iOS. You can write in Swift, you can write neural networks and do all that stuff. And you can also use neural networks in Go, in PHP, C#, like many places, but the APIs are a bit limited. So with that, and once you develop your model, then you can run them in C# as well, or in any other environment. And my personal opinion, that I know that there is like a bias here, it seems, because you guys are into either Python or C#. My personal take is that after looking at languages like PHP, Swift, Objective-C, C++, and many, many others, I think any language that you speak or you write, you'll end up liking it if you use it a lot, right? So I would say just don't be hard on the people who use Python if you don't like Python, or C# if you don't like C#. Because at some point in your life, you might spend like 2 years working in the language you don't like and say like, oh, it's actually better than I thought, or I can do things that I cannot do in the other language, or things like that. Jose Luis picks a lot of me for PHP, but I think WordPress made a lot of bad there. But yeah, I'll stop talking. That's my take.
I think you just revealed one of my inner secrets, which is I know everyone in this community thinks that I hate Python, and I kind of never say no to that, because I think now for me it's kind of a funny joke, and I just go with it, even though the reality is that I don't have anything against Python, and I think that its popularity has like a lot of reasons behind it. But Nono is right, like he is a big advocate for PHP, and I really truly dislike PHP as a language. But at the end of the day, the way I see this is that it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't really matter anything. Like, there's no better or worse. I guess the question would be like, what does better or worse mean? Like, is better, are we talking about performance? Because if we're talking performance, then probably it could be argued that C#, because it compiles, it has better performance than Python, which is an interpreted language. Is it better because it has a larger community behind it and more people who contribute projects, etc.? Then I would say that hands down, Python is a much better language. Not because of the language, but because of the community and the ecosystem that's behind it. And very clearly, for example, Python is the language that is absolutely dominating machine learning and artificial intelligence these days because of the contributions, but also because of another problem that C# has, which is that C# was very much designed for Windows systems. It's very difficult to run C# in Mac, in Linux, and blah, blah, blah, etc. Because it was like, think of it as a superset of C++, what Nona was talking about. See, if you want performance, if you want something to go blazing fast these days,
C++.
You want to go for C++ or you want to do C. But it's lower language, it's more tedious to write, it lacks all the abstractions that make writing code nice and fast, it's very tedious. But if you want something real close to the chip, then you need C or C++. The problem is that Python took over the machine learning ecosystem because you don't want to be doing machine learning, but be bound to Windows systems. It just sucks. So you want a language that is as cross-platform as possible. And it turns out that from the family of higher level languages, the ones that have higher abstractions, that are dynamically typed, etc., it was either JavaScript or Python. There aren't that many other out there. There's Ruby, but Ruby is very special about what it does. And JavaScript was definitely, if any language out there is bad at performance, that's definitely JavaScript, So that's why Python took over. Now, if we're talking about the design of the language and how it feels writing that language, then that is an absolutely subjective topic. It's more about how you feel. You cannot believe how many conversations I've had with people who are like Python is the nicest thing to write because you can write in one single line 3 for loops that I iterate over the one thing, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't find that nice. I like a for loop instead of another for loop instead of another one, you know. And I don't like to have to sit down for 2 minutes to decipher one line of code. I don't think that's good code writing, but that's a very personal opinion. So that's why, from a style point of view, it is true that I don't really resonate much with Python. But that doesn't mean that Python is not a great language. It is a great language. It's taking over. The community is great. There's libraries for everything. NumPy is amazing. All the machine learning frameworks are amazing. If you want to do computational geometry, you have Compass. Jupyter notebooks, that's really, really freaking nice, you know? And I actually just discovered that there's a way to make C# notebooks. My TA, Rungia, was helping me figure that out, you know? It's really, really cool. So hopefully those get a bit more popular very soon. And hopefully, what was it called? No, .NET?
.NET Standard, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, so Microsoft is also trying to come up with a version of C# that is not Windows-based, that is platform agnostic, and that can be run from command line, etc. That was the .NET Standard, correct? No? So that is...
Yeah, I think so.
So that is growing a lot these days. They're putting a lot of effort there. And I anticipate that the .NET framework will be obsolete in a few years in favor of the .NET Standard, which will be cross-compatible. So hopefully that makes C# a bit more platform agnostic, but definitely C# is not going to take over machine learning anymore because Python has taken it over.
I think there's also a lot of work that the Mono developed team did to, like, Unity, for instance, was a weird thing that it's all C# based, but it's also cross-platform. So there are many applications that have been using C#, and even Rhino now in Mac, you can compile and run C#. So
yeah,
seems like it will, you know, it's good for people who already know it and can just transfer that knowledge into other platforms.
Yeah, but like Victor is saying, like Victor is saying on the chat, at the end of the day, it depends on what you want to do, and whatever the culture or whatever the technology is better with whatever language, that's what you may want to go for. If you're writing like hardcore, low-level computer graphics stuff, you really want to do C++, for example. You know.
What do you think about future of machine learning or Python with Grasshopper? Actually, it's the best question. Better question.
You say Grasshopper as actually Grasshopper, the software that does computational geometry?
No.
Or you mean in general visual programming language?
General. Yeah.
Well, I think we should have some more of that. And no, maybe you want to talk a little bit about your recent conversations with Paul from Load AI, from former Load AI.
Yeah. So Adam Menges, we both met him in 2018. He did it was his side project, but ended up being a startup, which is called now Load. And even though they didn't release, like, the original homepage that they launched had a visual programming environment to code neural networks and to do machine learning with, like, connecting cables and nodes, which was really good. They sadly, or for best or bad, right? Like, we were kind of expecting that some visual programming environment for machine learning at that fine-grained level of detail control was going to be released, but then in Microsoft, they probably decided that it was better to have a user interface or user experience that anyone could just drag and drop images and train a machine learning model without any visual programming, because visual programming is easier than programming, but still has a learning curve for people who want to get introduced to it. But yeah, there have been attempts on that, and I'm also looking forward to it. I think, as far as I know, the machine learning libraries that are already in Dynamo and Grasshopper and visual programming environments have to do more with wrapping DLLs, right? Like C# DLLs or other libraries that already exist to be used inside of Grasshopper and Dynamo, and not native interfaces that have been thought to, to create neural networks and plug things to train algorithms. But I'm not super updated in those terms, so you might know more of it than me. Somebody said, cables.gl.
Have you guys seen that? It's fairly new, but I have a friend who's doing a lot of really cool stuff in cables.gl. Is it cable? Am I typing correctly? Cables.gl, yes. So if you want nerdy and super new, check it out. It's visual programming, but for interactive visuals. It's really cool. All touch designer.
Write it in the conversation.
Yeah, I'll write it. Who's doing this?
I posted it on the chat on Zoom. I'm posting also on YouTube. So cables.gl and also nodes.io was suggested by Rafael, or BBBB, who also has scripting in C#. All of those are really interesting visual programming environments for computer graphics, for interactive art.
Well, I have a question. So
Hi, Jasmine.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, it's Jasmine. I'm doing like masters here in Germany. It's like my third semester, but like
Where in Germany?
What?
Where in Germany?
Now I'm in Bonn, but I'm doing masters in TH-OWL in Detmold and Technische Hochschule Ostwestfalen-Lippe. But yeah, it's computational design. But I'm like back to the student projects and the distant learning thing, because I didn't have the chance to see the students projects, since I really wanted to learn like C# really fast, so I skipped that part and tried to like just get like the hardcore info. So how is like the distant learning thing affected like student getting interact with the machines? Because as for us, we didn't have the chance to get into like the Fab Lab and like really try cool machines to produce our stuff. So how, I don't know if that was the case still with the same semester as you were teaching, but I think that really affected, like you're just sitting doing cool or also like projects, but you don't interact with machines to produce it. So how is that going to affect us as students in the future when we get like, oh, I have to produce this, I don't know how. Yeah, so I would like to get an input, because I think we're missing out a lot of cool stuff, I think.
Well, let me first say, I have a very open interpretation of what a machine is. I'm not sure if you realize, but you are interacting with the machine right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a quiet knowledge of using Zoom.
Exactly. That's a machine, just like any other, You can instruct it, you can program it, and you can do things with it. But I'm assuming you're going more in the lines of digital fabrication and that kind of thing. So this last semester, the policy at Harvard, at the design school, was that they were going to not give access to any of the fabrication resources to any of the students, even if only obviously for all COVID reasons, but even if you lived in the Boston area, they decided not to provide access, for example, just to the 3D printers, also for issues of equity, because they thought, with reason probably, that those students who may not be able to come to Boston because for economic reasons or for visa issues might be at disadvantage if they didn't have resources to fabricate, in comparison with those people who could actually go to Boston and use the facilities. So that was a decision that was done by the school. And I kind of agree, and I think I support that decision. I think it was a good one. Now, I think that doesn't mean that you can't or that you shouldn't keep researching with machines that make physical things. If you ask me, I find it way more interesting and way more time consuming to be smart about creating code and creating programs that customize what you fabricate and do it in other ways than the time you actually need to spend with those machines running those programs. And these days we have so many good simulation tools, Robot Studio, G-code compilers, G-code simulator, whatever, blah, blah, blah, that you can definitely take one semester or two to like stay away from the physical machine, polish your coding skills, write an amazing G-code compiler from scratch yourself, and then you can try it next semester. I actually used to have an assignment that was writing a G-code compiler and try to make a 3D print from code that you have generated manually, which I think is a super interesting, super interesting exercise. Also, a fairly achievable one for people who are beginning how to code.
Mhm.
Also,
Can I
of course,
jump in for a moment? So about this exact question. So as Jose knows, I'm trying to contribute to the Machina project and figuring out how to add the functionality of the KUKA robots to the Machina. So what I've tried so far was more like trying to use every kind of simulation tool that is available, including, for example, KUKA PRC or FullRobot or open source programs like Robots or Machina and stuff like that. So in my own experience, it goes up to some certain degree where you would run out of tools to simulate stuff and you would be simulating everything. And now you have no idea whether your simulation is going to work or not. So one thing that I have actually tried was in one of our projects, in one of our research projects at KO, I've tried compiling 4 different codes for different KRL programs for KUKA robots using 4 different tools. One was Machina, one was KUKA PRC, one FullRobot, and one was I guess, the trial version of the official KUKA sim. And I sent them to one of the people at the lab that has access to the robot so that I would be able to understand how they work and see what they would look like when they are being run on the machine. And so far, the results were like slides of pictures that included something like, we ran this program on the machine and here are the errors, and this program ran completely, and it's more like that. So I'm not exactly sure if it is entirely possible to be doing these kinds of research remotely. So the um, the prerequisite is, well, first of all, you have to have someone there to be trying out your programs and to give you feedback on the stuff that goes on the machine. And on that, one thing that KUKA robots have in terms of Machina itself, the KUKA robot does not understand anything about the programs that are being compiled by Machina. And for example, the Machina compiler would produce an SRC file and a DAT file. Yeah. So it would not recognize them even as programs. So that's one thing that I'm actually trying to figure out how to do, and maybe try parsing some kind of a new C# scripting component or program or something that would create a program that would have all the parts from all the programs that work and leave out everything that does not work. So you could, produce something to be able to work with. And more than that, I'm not exactly sure how it can be used. And yeah, that's all, I guess.
I think, Jasmine, we are in a very difficult situation, and it is true that we don't have so many access to so many other things. But like someone was saying before in the call, like you have two options with that. You have the option of like, oh, I don't have access to machines, so I can't work, I can't do research, I'm done. Or you can take the lemons and try to make lemonade and be, oh, maybe this is the semester for learning how to write code. Maybe this is the semester to create my own simulator, and do an Unity project where I put together a robot and I make the robot read rapid code or KUKA code or whatever, and I try to make it move around. Actually, I haven't seen in technical papers, I haven't seen that much research that goes into custom simulation tools for making machines. I took the opportunity of this COVID situation and I studied ParametricCamp. I'm not sure I would have done it if it wasn't for the push that the pandemic gave me. Like, oh, I'm really bored at home. I've been locked for 2 months. I'm just going to buy a green screen and do it. So
No, and that was really, really, really good move because I'm hating code. Like my brain doesn't understand that. But when I started like that was like hands down. Thank you for that. Really, not cheesy talk, but like thank you.
thank you. But I guess what I'm saying is hopefully we will be back. The sky will open soon or soonish or at some point, and we will all be back to normal and we will have access to the machines again. But we can make this opportunity to focus on other things or to polish our skill sets or to learn other stuff. I wouldn't be having the opportunity to meet all of you if it wasn't for this.
True.
Yeah, by the way, was like one really interesting thing. You see Said Kamali over here?
Excuse
He
me?
was you see Said here,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
He was my classmate in my bachelor studies in Iran. So I
Really?
met him through ParametricCamp again after like 5 or 6 years.
Nice.
That was really awesome.
Yes. The world is very small.
Now I'm a student of Master of Design, Urban Design in
Where?
in Lyon, in France.
Okay. All right. That's awesome.
But awesome that finding my old friend here.
I know. The world is very small. I just learned recently that Andres, for example, who's also in this call, he's good friends with a good friend of mine, and he also knows Long. He was at the ICD, and like the world is very small and very connected.
By the way, I would like to ask you something. When you have a script, normally you have hundreds of possible outputs, and the decision to choose one of them is not something an easy task. So a few years ago, I had the opportunity to do a workshop with Robert Woodbury, and the topic was parallel parametrics. So I don't know if you have heard about this work, because I didn't have the opportunity to see the code behind how they achieved that. The idea was that each script was somehow collected in JavaScript, and then a machine will process the scripts and record all the inputs, and you can see at the other day all the options the server was generated. So how this could be connected with machine learning, for example, or how it could be the process to keep the input when you have multiple options and multiple outputs, no?
Well, I believe. Well, first of all, I think that workshop that you're referring to was also taught in partnership with Autodesk and with the generative design team, right?
Yes.
And it involved people such as Barbara Tulkeridu,
Yes, I met her there.
such as Lily Smith, like all these people that I used to work with at Autodesk, like a really, really amazing team of people. And they were running the project Fractal, which was basically a generative design tool for optioneering, which is what I believe you're referring to. The idea of having a script. The script has a certain set of parameters. We can give all these parameters a lot of different values, We can find all the combinations that that generates, and then we can use that to choose which design we like better, right? That is a very strong current of research right now, and I believe Autodesk, for example, is making a push to publishing tools that make that possible, integrated in Revit, integrated in Dynamo, integrated with other suite of tools. I'm uncertain about where McNeil stands with that issue, for example, but I like how you're trying to link that concept to machine learning. Because at the end of the day, what machine learning does is basically that. When you're training a neural network, what you're doing is basically, it takes many, many hours to train a neural network, because what you're basically doing is like you're running tons and tons and tons of options. You're generating a lot of solutions. And then you have what's called a fitness function, which basically decides how many of those functions, how many of those results are valid, how many of those results are not, and then keeps reinforcing the neural network to learn from the ones that are valid and to learn also negatively from the ones that are not. So that's at the core how a training a neural network works in a nutshell. It's obviously technically it's very complicated to do, but that's how it works in a nutshell. The problem is when it comes to design, especially for example architecture or things that have a very high degree of complexity, designing that fitness function, designing a set of rules to decide what is a good design and what is a bad design, what is a good house, what is a bad house, what is a good layout for parking, what is not, you know, it's actually fairly difficult. It's actually quite complicated. And that's why when it comes to using machine learning for generating full-fledged architectural solutions or full-fledged buildings or full-fledged product designs, we're still not there yet. Because encoding all the rules that lead to deciding what is good and what is not, as humans, even as humans, we still haven't figured that out. We still have conversations in architecture school like, oh, that's a great building. No, I think that building is not great, blah, blah, you know, and like all these critiques, like arguing against each other, right? So imagine the computational representation of that, you know?
But as a parametric camp, we can optimize our parameters with machine learning. The parameters we want.
Same thing. What is optimizing for you? What does optimizing mean? If your optimization criteria is, I want an orientation that just gives me the least incidence of the sun, blah, blah, blah, and therefore I save a lot of energy, then that's actually fairly easy to implement quantitatively, right? But optimizing, I want a design of a facade that is beautiful. Oof.
It's not working. Yeah.
What does beautiful mean? How do we encode that? How do we write the rules of what?
Not the parameter.
Yeah.
Beautiful, it's not parameter. But when we are talking about parameter, we can optimize them, I think.
Yep, it's difficult. It's difficult. So that's why there's still a lot of research and conversation around that. No?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. So the first one clarification, I think so Barbara wrote on the YouTube chat that wasn't actually a workshop that Autodesk was involved in.
Oh.
So just to mention that it was actually led, I think, by Robert Woodbury and some others. So one thing I wanted to say, it
was my understanding there was a partnership there, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think it was on that one. And then what I can mention, so I work with Barbara as well and at Autodesk on Refinery, which is, you know, the project that superseded Fractal. And in there, the part of, let's say, artificial intelligence, not machine learning, was a genetic optimization engine on the back end, as Jose Luis mentioned before, has a fitness function, and it can like run your inputs, and then you have different methods, right? So Refinery, for example, allows you to do one thing that is genetic optimization. So you're trying to define your metric of success for your design. Like you might encode into numbers what beautifulness means, or like other things that you, or like cost or things like that. And that will run your design as much as it can in parallel. But when you're running optimization, you have to sort of have only a few options running in at the same time, and then trying to go into the next iteration, trying to improve those output parameters. If you run a method that is random, right? So if you just say, I want 2000 random options, you can actually run those 2000 operations in separate machines on a server or in parallel or whatever you want, because they don't have anything to do with each other. I just want a random option, giving them random inputs, then getting random outputs. And then relating that to machine learning, it's actually really, really similar. What Jose Luis said, there is like an iterative process where you're like training a neural network that you're trying to get to the optimal weights inside of the network that will get you from an input to the right output, right? You might have 10 categories or something. But then there is another process that is really similar to that in refinery that is called hyperparameter tuning. That is the process of optimizing the parameters in a machine learning model to get the best outcomes, right? So that's actually similar to what we're trying to do. Instead of optimizing a parametric design, you're optimizing the machine learning model. And there's a lot of similarity there, not so easy, but what's really hard with parametric models is that you actually just optimizing the output, and the only thing that you're getting is like different inputs at the beginning of the function. But there's nothing really, it's really hard to integrate the optimization inside of the geometry of like the operations, because they're hard coded on the program that you're doing. But yeah, I won't get into that. Just wanted to share that to kind of find that linkage between the machine learning and the thing that Andres mentioned.
That was interesting. Thanks.
Alrighty. Well, in my mind, this was going to be a 1 hour thing, but we're already like 15 minutes over.
Can I ask you something? So because I just want to say, like, if you can comment a bit on what do you think the ParametricCamp is going to be in 2021? What can we as viewers expect?
Are you doing another interview? We just recorded another interview for the Getting Simple podcast, which I will post a link on YouTube right now. Are you following the Getting Simple podcast? It's really interesting. Lots of computational designers too on the podcast. What does ParametricCamp look like in 2021? Where it's only going to get bigger and better. I'm definitely, for me, I want to make sure that we all know that for me, this was not a COVID thing. It just happened during COVID, but it had been in my mind for years. It was just that I was busy finishing my doctorate or working at a company or blah, blah, blah. And now it was a good combination of opportunity, time to just kickstart it. But I don't want it to go anywhere. So I plan on doing more of this. We just wrapped up the Learning C# playlist. I would like to finish as soon as possible the basic introduction to Grasshopper list, because I also need that a lot for my teaching. But I wanna do that as fast as possible, because I think most of us are more interested in higher level things. And right away, what I want to write, I want to keep doing these playlists where we take a topic and we just break it down in a series of higher level lectures and applied examples, just like we did with Learning C#. So what we can expect, I think in my mind, is definitely a C# for Grasshopper playlist, where we take a look at all the basics of how to write C# script components, how C# relates to Rhino Common, how we can write plugins natively, and how we can do like weird things, such as, for example, play with continuous updates in components and do like dynamic simulations and that kind of stuff. That's definitely one thing I want to do. I also want to record a C# in Unity and like do like some cool interactive projects with Unity. Excuse me. I really, really, really want to do shaders, like really, really want to do shaders, but I feel I'm not there yet. So I may work on that on the back end, and some kind of WebGL, OpenGL sort of tutorials. That would be great too. But I think that will happen like farther down in the year. And I don't want to stop doing like the geometry jams. I really enjoy those. I think they're super fun and I think they're really instructive. So I want to do more of those, staggered with the main playlists. But I'm always open to suggestions and to recommendations by the community. I want to do robotics as well at some point. But I may probably not do that right away because I want to finish with the foundational stuff and then get a bit more specific with robots farther down the line.
So a question, when you're talking about robots, what do you exactly mean by that? I mean, like ROS robots, like from, I don't know, like toy robots to vacuum cleaners to industrial robots. What exactly does the robots mean in that narrative?
That's a very good question. You are right. When I say robots, I probably actually mean industrial robotic arms.
I see.
Yes, like breaking down the kinematics of how they work, what are forward kinematics, what are inverse kinematics, all the math that is behind that, and how can we use, for example, I will probably explain Machina and how to use Machina to control ABB, universal robots, and maybe when this happens, Machina is working properly for KUKA as well. The problem,
Hopefully soon.
like you were
Sooner
saying,
than you think.
like you were saying before, Machina is definitely terrible with KUKA machines just because I don't have any KUKA robot around me anywhere. So I've never, I've never used a KUKA robot in my life.
Well,
No?
I've got access to two robots. One is a KUKA 16.2 at our own campus, and there's one other robot at a company that we're working with, which is, I guess it's a KR10-900 or something, like one of these little ones. So I'm working on it, hopefully sooner than later.
Well, this is getting recorded, right? So if you commit to working on that right now, I can hold you liable. This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, too late to get out of that.
Exactly. Andres is suggesting to do some kind of like nature of code based in C#, blah, blah, blah. That could be an interesting exercise to do. Definitely. Maybe bring in Dan whenever we can travel again. Maybe just bring him into Boston and do a cameo. That'd be great. That'd be so much fun. He used to go to Boston a lot. I'm very thankful to be good friends with Ben Fry, and we used to hang out a lot in his office. So that back when people could travel and stuff,
Nice.
Yeah. The nature of code, yeah, exactly. Awesome. El Salvador, yeah. Hey, Victor,
Schiffman.
Daniel, sorry?
By Daniel Schiffman, The Nature of Code.
Yes.
Book.
Yes. Yeah. Have I shown you mine? Mine is like it's all sign up and it's got drawings and it's really, really nice. All right, well, it's already 1:20. So unless anybody else has any comments, I'm really thankful about this time we spent together. And anything you would like to add before we wrap it up? All right, well,
yeah,
Andre,
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all the really valuable tutorials and all the really nice insights. And I just really wanted to thank you. And I guess this is the perfect opportunity to do that. So yeah, it's been absolutely amazing after being able to learn all these tools such as C# and other kinds of programmings, and it has changed how I work with computer programs in general. And yeah, what I'm really hoping is for ParametricCamp to become some kind of a platform for all these kinds of computational design related tools, tutorials, and
what would that look like
hopefully
for you?
Well, for example, right now we have an introduction to C#. Maybe some kind of a an introduction to Python would be nice. An
You're
introduction to C
You're
Sharp.
asking a lot from me, Arasto. You're pushing.
Yeah, there's a lot of really advanced people here, and they can actually contribute. And I'm not sure if that's okay with you, and I'm hopeful that it is. And that would be really nice. You know, before, like I'm talking like 3 years ago, I was trying to learn Python for Grasshopper, and I had to like search all over the internet, and I wasn't able to find anything in particular to be working with programming inside Grasshopper that would start from the basics, and would work towards what would be useful for designers and what would be useful to generate geometries and stuff like that. So everything that I was able to find was more or less in the direction of computer science or something like that. And yeah, ParametricCamp has been the first place that I've actually found that has this feature in it. That tends to, yeah, exactly, have designers in mind.
No, I'm very thankful for that comment, because that is definitely the top of my priority. A lot of my teaching is very focused not to be rigorous or to be comprehensive about computer science. As important as I think that is, it's not my focus, because I know that there's many other resources out there for that.
Exactly.
And also, I've always been super wary about trying to find the niches where I think there's a gap and where I think I can contribute. So, for example, as much as I love processing and as much as I love P5.js, etc., it's very unlikely that I will make any tutorials of that, because I just think Dan Schiffman and the coding train, they make such a great job at that. But I don't want to make that and overlap that just for the sake of it, you know? So I'm always on the lookout of niches and empty pockets that I can fill. And maybe Python for Grasshopper could be a good one. Maybe an intro to Python. I'm also dying to make like a nice full-fledged. Let's talk Compass for Python, and let's do like a playlist and like a full thing. You know, that would be great. But it's not so high on my priority right now. I think there's other things that I think are more important that I would like to cover before we get into that. You know. And
Yeah,
it is true that I'm I've been thinking a lot lately about opening ParametricCamp up to more people, not just me doing the live streams, or not just me being the one who records the tutorials. It's just that things are a little complicated right now to organize such things, and I'm not sure how that looks like or how to make that happen. So that's something that I think I need to think a little bit more about what a framework for that could be, you know.
I see. Yeah. Hope to see it.
Sachin is asking on the YouTube channel. He's suggesting that maybe an annual event and talk for a week. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but ParametricCamp was actually born in 2011, and I co-founded it with my brother Fernando, and we actually used to do in-person workshops. That's how we started, and then we just took like a 7-year gap, and I took back the name to just turn it into an online community. But it used to be parametric design workshops in person. We used to go all over Europe. We were actually in Istanbul in the summer of 2012. It was great. All right, wonderful. Well, it was a huge pleasure. Team, community, all members, I was very happy to be here and get to see your wonderful faces and get to meet you a bit more in person. Stay in touch. We have the Discord, we have the chat, we have everything. And of course, I'm very Googleable. So if you ever want to reach out to me directly, you know how to find me. Okay. And thank you very much for being there. And it makes me very happy to be on a live stream and see people that I know and that I already have a thing going on. So it makes me really, really happy and really welcome. Okay. Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
Have a good break.
Thank
Have a
you.
good holiday.
Yeah, have a good holiday, man.
Bye,
Stay
everyone.
safe.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wish you happy Xmas and happy New Year.
Likewise, Chandra.
Bye, sir.
Same to you too.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.